We will shut down the universities in the country if the government refuses to grant our demands in the next 7 days. These are the words of Comrade Ibrahim Mohammed, President of the Senior Staff Association of Nigerian Universities, SSANU. The union, alongside the Non-Academic Staff Union of Education and Associated Institutions, NASU. Tonight, let's hear directly from Comrade Mohammed Ibrahim on why this is coming at this time and what exactly are their demands. Comrade, thank you so much for joining us on Politics Tonight. Thank you.
Thanks for having me, Alhaji Moki.
Right, so we just saw your press conference where you have issued a one-week ultimatum to the federal government. What exactly is the issue and what is SSANU clamoring for?
Well, thank you for having me once again, and good evening, viewers. This is quite unfortunate that we have to start talking about, suspending administrative and other activities, administration and other activities in the university at this material time. It's not in our, routine, to stop work at any point in time because we are faithful workers, public servants who work for the system. And as you may know, that in these two unions, NASU and SSANU, are the major stakeholders who naturally, oil the engine of the administration of the university. We run the security system, the medicals in the university for the students and staff. We also take charge of administration and do a lot of things, even processing of results, administration, and admitting students, graduating them, and so on. So if you look at what we do and vis-a-vis the way we are treated, it is quite not something that we are happy about. I gave the background in that report that we went on strike on the 27th of March, 2022. And in August 24th, we suspended the strike when government invited us to discuss. The former government of Muhammadu Buhari, the Minister of Education, then Malam Adamu, with other officials of government, met with us, pleaded, and we struck a deal and signed an agreement that all our demands were going to be met. And those demands were nothing new, actually, because there are things that kept reoccurring. The suspension of the renegotiation of 2009 agreement, which was overdue, and we started, it got to a point, we got stopped. Then the non-payment of our allowances. Then, of course, if you realize, or if you recall also, governing councils were abruptly, dissolved without finishing their tenure. This, we felt, were things that were a misnomer. And universities are universal. Universities should have an autonomy. Universities should operate, seamless. A university in Yola should be the same with a university in California or Lagos or South Africa, anywhere, so that workers can, do things in a way that it will show seamless operations. So after signing the agreement with government, the clause that we signed last was the non-victimization clause, meaning no member of our union that took part in that strike will be victimized, either through denial of his salaries or allowances or any privilege or rights that are extended to him or her in that circumstance. And then all of a sudden we woke up, government, the then government, invoked the no work, no pay, which was also draconian, and it was against the labor laws because we did not just wake up one day to go on strike. What the law stated was that you needed to give notices, declare, your intention to go on strike when communication or when discussions, collapses between, the workers and the employees and the employer. Now, this government came into power in May. And magnanimously, the president, after listening to the cries of stakeholders and other union members, decided to extend a waiver in October 2023 that payments should be made for the withheld salaries, but only 4 months was approved. This was conveyed through the media. Everybody, is aware of this. And surprisingly, from October, it took the whole of November, December, January, February, until when, that is when our colleagues in the academics got 4 months payment. But for us, nothing was heard of. And we decided to approach the Minister of Education and the Minister of Education itself. And we were told that we were supposed to be carried along and also be paid. And the minister did confirm to us that the president's approval covered all tertiary institution unions. So he was also taken aback. But he did promise that these things were going to be sorted. But this is getting into the second week. Nothing is heard of. And our members are becoming restive. And we realize that things are not happening. So we have to now come out and cry to the wall. And because we want to do it in a very polite way, that is why we are notifying the public, notifying government. We have written the Chief of Staff to the President and the Minister of Education of our exclusion from such payments. And nothing is forthcoming. So we are going to meet within the next 7 days. And the organs that are vested with the right to declare, whatever action they want to declare, will decide and give a date when we will down tools. Clearly, we will not continue to remain aloof. We will not keep quiet because this is our own rights. It's salaries, and they are not privileges. Salaries are rights of workers, and the government and the president, in his own, wisdom, has extended his own fatherly role of being the president of the country. So we should not see other people in government trying to bring a cock into the wheel of progress, of this country. So this is why we are declaring this action.
All right, comrade. I can also confirm that the Minister of State for Education, Professor Sununu, was also here on Politics Tonight, confirming that the president has approved the payment of the withheld salaries. But you just said to me now that the minister was taken aback when he heard this, and he said this will be sorted. And you're also saying this is the second week. Do you think you need to give them more time?
Sorry?
You just said to me now, yes, you just said to me now that when you spoke to the minister, he was taken aback that this has not been settled or has not been sorted. And you're also saying this is the second week. I'm asking, do you think you need to give them some time?
Well, with all due respect to the minister, we have written to them officially, that is officialdom. We have written the Chief of Staff, we have written the Minister of Education. Expectedly, we should be replied. We should be called upon. So the discussions we've been having are unofficial. And that government business is not run, through unofficial means.
Unofficial
so
from
what
who?
we expect at this point,
Comrade.
like I said, we have related with the Minister of Education. And he told us that this thing were going to be attended to. We should be patient. And like I said, this is the second week when payment started for our colleagues and completed in the academic members of ASU. So, and like I said, this waiver was granted in October. We are now in March. So how much more time do they need to do this payment? In 24 hours, our records are there. Government is the one paying salaries in Abuja. All they needed to do is to give a directive, just like the way they give to that of ASU, to say pay these workers who are in NASU and SSANU. And I assure you this electronic means of payment that can be done within 24 hours. So we do not know what is the rationale behind this back and forth kind of operation. And knowing fully also that the economy of the country is in its doldrums. People are suffering. Workers in the universities are even the most hard hit in terms of transport and logistics. All of us are clearly aware that most of our public universities are situated way outside of township and cities. You have to commute 20, 30 kilometers to get to work. And buying fuel these days is something else. And the problem our members went through when these salaries were stopped included people having their children thrown out of schools because they could not pay school fees. Some could not attend medicals. Those people that had diabetes, hypertension, and other, medical issues like that. And also some that were in rented apartments because universities no longer give accommodation for all members of staff. So some of us stay out of campuses, and we have to start moving, a such number of kilometers to go to work every day. So the moment losing that amount of money within the year, would have created much problem. And also don't forget, most of workers today are surviving on loans they take from banks. So, and those banks would not understand that your salaries were suspended and that therefore they will give you some reprieve. So interest kept accumulating, and that most of our, so many of our workers also are on negative salaries. So the payment of this and the approval given by the president is something that will give a lifeline to members of staff working in our universities. And clearly we do not see any reason why ASU members who are our colleagues, and we are happy for them that they are paid, should be paid, and then other workers, the non-teaching staff, should also be treated with disdain or be treated like second-class citizens. This is what we are saying. The system is for all of us, and therefore everybody should be treated equally and be treated with some face of humanity.
All right, so Comrade, earlier you talked about getting some unofficial responses. So I wanted to know where that was coming from. And you also talked about suspension of the renegotiation of the 2009 agreement. What's that about?
Yes, the 2009 agreement as it stands is for all the unions. All the 4 university-based unions have had agreements signed with the then government in 2009. And in our own agreement, there was supposed to be a review every 3 years. And for over 12 years, that review never took place because government kept changing, the goalposts at every point. And when the time came for the review, committees upon committees came up, from Munzali Jibril Committee, from Boale Babalakin Committee to Munzali Jibril Committee to Professor Nimi Briggs Committee, before he, unfortunately died. And such renegotiations never saw the light of the day. And beyond that, there was also need for a review of even the salaries paid to workers in the universities. The current salary being enjoyed by workers in our public universities today was approved in 2009. Between 2009 and now, you know the number of years that has taken place. You also know what inflation has done to Naira. You also know the role the universities play, in churning out young graduates, people who should, work in the industry, people who should work for government. And beyond that, our union also looks at the issues that are affecting university governance generally. Today, the major setback in our universities is the issue of inadequate funding. I mentioned earlier this morning that there is no public university in Nigeria, especially those ones in the owned by the federal government, that gets enough overhead that could pay electricity bill for any university in a month. No university. They give you some chicken feet, and you know that definitely universities do not even collect, IGR. Universities just charge service charges, and whatever they charge for, they give services. If they collect ID card fees, they must issue ID cards. If they collect hostel maintenance, they must maintain hostels. If they collect medical fees, they must give medical services to students and staff. So universities are finding it so difficult. Vice chancellors and university managers have been reduced to people who, commute between their destinations, domiciles to Abuja every day to take approvals. And when this government came, we began to sing songs of praises because at some point the government said they have insulated the universities from going to obtain approvals from Office of the Head of Service. That was a major achievement. And then also the issue of the IPPIS, payments. When they centralized the payments to Abuja, it became impossible to employ staff. It became also impossible to punish staff who ran foul of the law, because even if you punish a staff, his salary is paid from Abuja, and therefore somebody else in Abuja determines whether he should get money or not. So those are the things that we said that university laws, our university autonomy should be respected. And therefore we quarreled on the issue of dissolution of governing councils. Governing councils for every university are the highest policy-making bodies for such institutions. And it has representation from the government and also within the university stakeholders. Therefore, they are in charge of hiring, promotion, firing, punishment, reward, and everything within the system. Universities are not akin to the core civil service way of doing things. So we realized that it was totally wrong, and it was a misnomer for any government to wake up one day and then dissolve governing council of universities that were appointed on a tenured basis. They were supposed to have their tenure run through, and then another set are appointed. So with the dissolution of the councils, everything got to a stop. It became impossible to promote staff, because vice chancellors and members of management will have to come to Abuja to obtain certain approvals and so on. And it became also impossible to award contracts, to look at other things that will make the university effective, so that it will also run the way other universities are run, in other climes. So those are the issues that are besetting our public universities, and we have cried out. For our members, for example, we also talked about, having a structure that will allow staff grow within the system without hindrance. Every university has what it calls conditions of service and scheme of service. We said that we should have a uniform scheme of service for all workers in the non-teaching cadre, so that what you find in University of Lagos should be what you find in Nasarawa State University, should be what you find in Yobe State University or Federal University of Technology or anywhere. So these are some of the grievances that we have said. And government will do us best by allowing this renegotiation to conclude, so that universities will operate without much ado. So these are our cries, and we pray and hope that this is democracy, and that we pray and hope that this government will allow this renegotiation to complete, and allowances paid, because we are already in arrears. Stabilization funds that were supposed to be released to the university should be released, so that structures, equipment, and training of staff will also take place seamless. So these are some of the things that are really besetting universities.
All right. You've raised very serious issues, but we need to take a break now. And